Senator Tim Scott sounding off as Joe Biden plans to allow Trump-era tax cuts to expire.
The Biden administration and Joe Biden specifically, they are willing to tank America's economy for no actual purpose. The fact that he's willing to own that and actually wants to tells us that not only does Bidenomics not work, but Joe Biden does not understand how to create activity in the private sector.
Well, clearly he doesn't. It's only government jobs he ends up creating. Here to react, Sunday morning futures anchor and our friend Maria Bartiromo. Maria, what is the rationale? Is it just anti-Trump that we got to let these expire because they came from him?
Well, Pete, good morning to you. Yeah, pretty much. Anything that Trump has done is bad, according to Joe Biden. That's why he walked into the Oval Office and did, 90-plus executive orders to overturn President Trump's security at the border and all of his policies. Look, I think that this message from Joe Biden just works for the populace, and he just wants to keep using it, tax cuts are for the rich. Tax cuts don't work. And also, you have to remember that he needs money for his climate change agenda, Pete. I mean, he wants all these new rules in business that they have to account for the emissions that their customers and their customers might be emitting. Why? That's going to create all sorts of new fees and new regulations and fees tied to those regulations so that he could generate income, generate some revenue, so that he could pay for all of his agenda in terms of the climate change agenda. So it's partly, yes, if Trump did it, it's bad, according to Joe Biden. And it's partly, I need more money because I have to put all these new regulations out there and rules around my climate change agenda and get everybody to drive electric vehicles. It's a two-part process there. He needs the income because he needs to pay for his climate change agenda, and he doesn't want Trump to look like he was right.
And
but you know what?
And even though it's not true, he's allowed to demagogue the rich, play the class warfare game in a way he thinks is advantageous for him. That's what it comes down to as well.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. And unfortunately for him, the people are onto it because we are in an economy right now which is slowing down pretty considerably. On Thursday, we got the GDP number, and it was 1.6% growth. If you look at the last couple of quarters, we are going down and going down fast. In the third quarter of 2023, we were seeing an economy growing at 4.9%. Then the next quarter, fourth quarter, went down to 3.2%. Now, next quarter, this is the first quarter of 2024, we're at 1.6%. And get this, of that 1.6% growth, 1.2% of it came from consumer spending on housing, healthcare, and insurance. That's all inflation. So it's very hard to see actual consumer activity rising when you've got everything rising in price. Just about everything is more expensive because of all of the reckless spending out of the Biden administration, $7 trillion in spending in 2023. So, look, he's got to do something about it. So what does he do? He chooses to demagogue, just like you said, divide and conquer, rich versus poor, heterosexual versus homosexual, right? Black versus white, whatever. Divide us all so that he can conquer. That's the strategy. And that comes to the economic situation as well.
For sure. Maria, real quick, what do you have coming up on Sunday Morning Futures?
We got a big show. I'm calling it the split screen of 2024. On the one side, Donald Trump in a courtroom. On the other side, Joe Biden campaigning. That is going to be the split screen until the election because Biden's DAs and Biden's DOJ is having Donald Trump hold up in a courtroom. We're going to talk with Eric Trump, the executive vice president of the Trump Organization, and, of course, President Trump's son, about this week in the courtroom for President Trump, what went on there. Jim Jordan is here. He's got a new investigation at Judiciary, which is looking at how the Manhattan DA's office basically manufactured lots of these so-called crimes that we're talking about in this courtroom. So we're going to get into that investigation as well. Alan Dershowitz is here to talk about all of this anti-Semitism raging. What has President Biden said about the anti-Semitism raging across our country? We're going to get into it. Why isn't he out there more denouncing all of this? And then Michael Waltz is with us, a congressman from Florida, to talk about the world on fire, unfortunately, and also FISA. The passing of FISA, extending it for another 2 years, has some people worried about surveillance on American citizens, ordinary citizens. We're going to get into that debate as well. We've got a lot coming up, breaking news in about 10 minutes' time. We'll cover all that.
Great show, as always. Thanks, Maria.
Thank you, Pete. I'll see you later.
You got it.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.